Hello. Am I coming through audio-wise? Hopefully I am. What's up, all my brothers from other mothers, my sisters from other misters? Thank you guys for joining me on this fine evening. Oh, it's so fine. If this stream suddenly and horribly just ends, know that it's because my power has gone out, because apparently that's one of the things that gets sacrificed when the coronavirus sweeps the land is you can't keep power on in your house. At least that seems to be one of the symptoms around here. Tons of fucking power outages lately. Haven't had one today. Knock on this fucking wooden table. So yeah, it seems like that's been a problem lately. So I'd usually I begin with a Corona update, but whatever. You already know. The coronavirus sucks. It's killing everybody. The end. I did want to, once again, promo my book, The Douchebag Bible, compilation of my first 3 books, working on my 4th very, very slowly. Should be coming out sometime around 2028. This is actually one of the ones that I have personalized. You can kind of get an indication there, of the kind of stuff you get when you get the personalized edition. But if the personalized edition's too expensive for you, there's also a unpersonalized edition for about half the price. And that's all available down below. I believe those links are down there. If they're not, I'll add them later. Sorry. But I believe they're there. So before I started this stream, my wife, Chelsea, was like, so what's this stream going to be about? I'm like, what do you think? She's like, politics. I'm like, politics. Yeah. That's all I can seem to fucking do streams about lately. I try. I rack my brain. I'm like, there's got to be something else I give a shit about. Nope. Just stuck with this politics shit. Sorry. Maybe I'll move on to greener, better pastures at some point in the future. Oh, Chelsea's going to adjust my camera. Thanks, Chelsea. You're an angel. Yeah, that was bugging her, I guess. Now it's good. Now we have it where we need it, right? My head was cut off? Oh, shit. I didn't realize. It seems to be attached. I don't know. This is the kind of shit she has to deal with. So, buy my book down there. And once again, I'll let everybody know before we get started, before we really get things going, that, of course, STREAMLABS are open, Super Chats are open, all that stuff's open. The way it works here when I do these kind of live streams is I get through my notes, and then at the end, I talk to the audience and read, donations and all that bullshit. So feel free to donate anytime you want. It is going to get read at the end. Don't worry. There's no fucking donation is left behind. Everything will be read and addressed and talked about. So feel free to do that. So I guess the first thing I want to talk about was the last time I did one of these. I kind of talked about the left-right paradigm as it exists in America. And I basically talked about how the Overton window here in this country is really, really far to the right. And so what we have here is a far-right party in the Republicans and a center-right party in the Democrats. And I did see some comments that took umbrage with that. I did see actually multiple people tell me that the Democrats are actually not a center-right party, but a far-left party. Now, look, if you want to disagree with the Democrats, that's fine. Go ahead. I certainly do. And if you want to be... If you're a Republican or you're like way over there on the super far right, that's cool. That's your decision. Everybody's free to have their own political philosophy here. But do not insult my intelligence or the intelligence of others by trying to claim that the Democrats are a far left party, okay? Because if they were a far left party, they would be anti-capitalist. They would be in favor of the workers seizing the means of production, because that's what a far left party is. That's what a far left party would believe. The Democrats do not fit that bill. They are a corporatist party. They are bought and sold, bought and paid for by corporate interests. They do the bidding of their corporate masters. As far as the foreign policy of the two parties goes, basically identical, basically the same imperialist policy, the same drone strikes, the same support of proxy wars. Let's arm this faction because Russia's arming the other faction. That goes on regardless of which party is in power. So foreign policy, basically the same, whether you're Democrats, whether you have Democrats in power or Republicans in power. The business policies of both these parties when it comes to like Wall Street and big business, same fucking party line. Big pharma, the medical industry in general, all this stuff. They're on the same page there. And they broadly support the same sort of trade policies. That's seen as when you have this bipartisan support for like NAFTA and all this shit. And there's very few voices that go against that. Now, Trump went against that, but then he went and passed something that was virtually identical. So his opposition was obviously more just a matter of looking around and saying, oh, this doesn't seem to be popular with everyday people, so I'll say I'm against it, and then I'll just do the exact same thing under a different name. And because my base is a bunch of retards, they'll cheerlead me. And, if anyone criticizes me, then all my supporters have to do online is go like, orange man bad, and then the liberals will shut their mouths. So anyway, I wanted to talk about this Biden thing, because it's really been giving me a lot of trouble. I'm not used to being on the fence about something, but I'm really on the fence on this one. So I thought, I have these two political voices in my ear right now, and I kind of talked about this in the last stream, and so I've been watching a lot of Vosh's content. I've always watched a lot of Kyle Kalinske Secular Talks content. I watch some other people too, but those two are the ones I've been, pretty regularly checking out their stuff and hearing their takes and listening to what they have to say. And they're very diametrically opposed on this whole Biden issue. So I thought, myself being kind of like torn between the two positions, I would be an ideal candidate to moderate a debate between the two of them. Because, right, I mean, I have experience moderating debates. I moderated the debate between Kyle Kalinske and Razorfist back in the day. I've moderated some other stuff back in the DP days. I moderated a debate between Howard Bloom and Paul Zigo one time. I've done lots of little debate moderation. I'm really good at being a very impartial moderator and putting my own personal beliefs aside. But in this case, my personal beliefs are conflicted between the two positions. So I thought, I'm more than ideal, because I've talked to both these guys. I've talked pretty extensively to Kyle. I had that conversation with Vosh that you can check out on his channel. So I know these two dudes. I know the basic patterns of how they think and where they're going to go with stuff. And, I've moderated debates. So I thought, this would be ideal. I could moderate a debate between the two of them. Let me go ahead and switch over to this view here. I said I'd be more than happy to moderate a Kyle Kalinske and Vosh v. debate. Just throwing that out there into the ether of reality. That was after Vosh said, never thought I'd be adding a Kalinske video to my list of stuff to debunk on stream. So Vosh making plans to address some Kyle Kalinske stuff in one of his videos. And I thought, why have this, one-sided conversation, right? Why just have this conversation that's going to be, Kyle says something and then Vosh makes a video and turns it into this kind of content? Why not have a hopefully productive conversation between the two of them? And I thought, okay, I can definitely be the one to facilitate that. But it seems, and Vosh was more than ready to do that. He was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, 100%. I'd love to do it. Kyle Kalinske, did not want to do it. So the reason he didn't want to do it, the reason he provided it for not wanting to do it, I think is actually, I could explain it myself, but he actually says a lot of the same things in this video that he made. So I'm going to play some of this. And so I want it to be known that Kyle Kalinske is not just a content creator that I watch. I consider him to be a friend, not like a super close friend. We haven't, buried a body in the fucking desert together or anything. But, I consider him to be a friend of mine. So, it's kind of rough when I have to, maybe be a little critical here. But let's take a look.
I've yet to see that take place. Every single conversation with these people is like, they tell you what they think you believe. And then when you respond, you're like, no, you're not really stating that properly. And the other thing is,
This is the part I wanted you to watch.
I'm not evangelical in my position. That's the other thing. Like, people have this weird sense that, like, I'm trying to convert people to my viewpoint. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not evangelical about my position. I'm not, a zealot. I'm just telling everybody this is what I'm going to do. I'm not saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and you better do the same thing. No, I don't care what you do. You do whatever the hell you want. So that's another thing that's like, it's like a weird, there's this assumption that, like, I must be trying to convert people to my way of thinking. No, I don't care. And the other thing is, I don't go as far as some other people in my position in that what I'm doing is not a strategy. Like, that's the other thing.
So here's the part where I think he's directly addressing some of the stuff I was saying in the previous stream. Now, maybe I'm tooting my own horn a little bit too much there, and he's actually talking about somebody else or someone else that said something. But I talked in detail in the previous stream about these two different strategies I was seeing emerge from these two different camps on the left. And I kind of used Kyle as an example of one strategy. So I think that he's directly kind of responding to what I said here. So let's take a listen to that.
People are saying, like, oh, Kyle's strategy is if you don't vote, then you force the Democratic Party to take you more seriously and you might get more of what you want. I mean, that might happen, but I doubt it. But either way, the reason I'm doing it is not strategic. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing is it's a principled thing. It's not strategy. And the principle is, I think Trump and Biden are both war criminal rapists, because they are. I think they're both beyond the pale. They are. So I'm not going to vote for them because they can't even pass my very, very lenient purity test. I mean, I've given my standards to people who say, under what scenario would you vote for Biden? I've already told you a million times. He would have to pass my standards, what I call my purity test, which is I have a position, my top 5 issues, okay? I need to be convinced Biden will not just say he's in favor of, but fight for 1 or 2 of my top 5 issues. Guess what, guys? I'm not convinced at all that he's going to do it. I'm really not. I don't think he's going to do any of my top 5 issues.
Okay. So I think we could probably cut it off there. So let's talk about some of those things specifically here. I'm going to go back to this view and take these damn headphones off. So when it comes to Kyle saying that both of these candidates are beyond the pale horrible, I 100% agree with that. And horrible in very similar ways. Rape accusations, sexual assault allegations against both of these men, but perhaps more substantively, they're not all that far apart in the policy ways that I discussed previously. I don't think that foreign policy under a Biden administration is going to look all that different than foreign policy under a Trump administration. We already have, leaked transcripts of speeches that Biden gave to Wall Street and the donor class saying, look, nothing's going to fundamentally change when I'm in power. So we know that he's not all that different on business. Will he be a little bit better on social issues? I think it's probably fair to say that he will, at least from the, sort of Democratic or left-leaning perspective, which is not the same two perspectives, but, I think, Biden would probably make some better court appointments. He'd probably be better on climate change. Kyle Kulinski has already admitted to as much as that. But the issue I'm taking with what Kyle's saying here is he's acting, this idea of, like, I'm not trying to influence people. I'm not trying to influence how people vote. It just comes across as like, huh? What do you mean? You've spent the entirety of the past, year and a half, 2 years, advocating for how people should vote. You wanted them to vote for Bernie Sanders. And, in doing so, you became a thought leader in the community that you formed around yourself. You know there's people out there that are hanging on your every word. You know there's a shit ton of them. And, you were a cheerleader for Bernie. You were probably the most effective cheerleader for Bernie Sanders on the YouTube platform as far as, I'm concerned. But now you're going to take this, Bernie or bust attitude, this I'm not going to vote for Biden because he doesn't meet my purity test attitude. And that's fine. But don't do that and then say out of the other side of your mouth, well, I'm not advocating that. I'm not evangelizing that. Well, if you're not evangelizing it, then don't even fucking say it. Because anything that you say about what you're doing is going to, of course, influence what your audience is going to do and how they're going to think. Because they're looking to you for leadership. And maybe you don't like that state of affairs. Maybe you're like, they shouldn't look to me for leadership. That's not what I'm here for. Well, I'm sorry, but that's just the practical fucking reality of the matter is they are looking to you for that. Some of them anyway. So, I think it's maybe, I don't want to say it's disingenuous, but maybe it's naive to kind of think, these people are they're not going to follow me. They're not going to listen to me. I'm not telling them what to do. And there was this idea that it was like when I brought up the concept of the debate, maybe I won't get into that because I don't know what, statements made in fucking private messages, I'm not going to repeat. But there's this attitude, I think, on Kyle's part that it's like, I'm not going to tell people how to vote. You did it. You did it before. So, look, just if you're not going to evangelize this stuff, then maybe just don't bring it up, I guess. You kind of have to because you're a political channel. You have to make a decision. And look, I sympathize with where Kyle's at because I don't know what the fuck to do. I have no fucking clear answer on this. I wish I did. I wish I had, I know what I'm going to do. I don't have it yet. I'm still ruminating. And look, I have 7 months to fucking figure it out before the fucking general election in November, if it still goes according to plan and the normal time scale. But, I don't know what I'm going to do. Luckily, I'm in a solidly red state, which, in most instances, that's not really that lucky. But in this instance, it kind of is because it takes a little pressure off because it's like what I do isn't really going to matter. If I lived in a swing state, then I'd really be like, oh, my God, what the fuck? What am I going to fucking do? But I don't have to really, I'm not really as burdened by that responsibility because this state is just going for Trump. And my vote in any direction is going to be basically fucking futile. But there's a lot of people out there that do live in swing states that, are maybe struggling with this. What are they going to do? They were Bernie Sanders supporters. Bernie Sanders is out. They feel betrayed, rightly or wrongly, by Bernie Sanders coming out and endorsing Joe Biden and not really getting many concessions out of Joe Biden, just kind of robustly and instantly throwing his support behind Biden as a candidate. And I think it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Bernie Sanders said from the fucking beginning of his campaign, I'm going to support whoever the Democratic nominee is. So we went into that with eyes wide open. We knew about that. And anyone who feels betrayed by him endorsing Biden, you're being a little foolish because he said that from the start. If you didn't like it, then, if you didn't like it, you had plenty of advance notice. But I think what a lot of people do feel betrayed about is we felt like he should have taken the fight to the end of the race. We feel like he should have fought for way more concessions out of Joe Biden, and I understand that mentality because I feel that too to some extent. But I'm totally conflicted on what to say, who to support, how to support it, especially now that we know for a fact. Well, not for a fact, but listen, the rape accusations against Joe Biden, I don't know if you guys saw this, but today they got a whole lot stronger. Because previously it was kind of this he said, she said. There's always this idea of Tara Reade says that Joe Biden, raped her in the 90s. He forcibly penetrated her with his fingers, pushed her up against a wall. And it's a story. And I never was part of the whole believe women thing. I'm like, believe evidence. That's where I'm at. Believe the evidence. I don't believe a person. People lie all the fucking time. People, and especially in this day and age of the Me Too stuff, it's really easy to just get rid of a political fucking rival or whatever by being like, yeah, they're a predator. And then it's like, oh, well, we got to get rid of them. No predators allowed. So it's super easy to just throw an accusation out there and just, you're gone. We've seen it happen a billion times. So, when I heard the allegations against Biden, I'm like, maybe that's credible. Maybe it's not. But now there's some new evidence that's been brought to light that really kind of changed my thinking on this. And really now I'm leaning much more towards the idea that this is real. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is a video from 1993 of Larry King taking a phone call from a woman that has now been identified as the mother of Tara Reade, the woman who made a sexual assault allegation against Joe Biden. So let's take a listen.
We're back. A couple more phone calls on this very important topic. Our guests are former United States Senator Howard Baker, Richard Allen, former National Security Advisor, and Lois Romano of the Washington Post. San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.
Well, but these are the people who do come to the Lois Romanos, right? The staff worker who says, I want to let you know about what's going on, either with my boss or the guy down the hall.
And a lot of these people have a sense of obligation. They feel...
Okay. So what do we get from that clip? So what we get is this is from 1993. That's the mother of Tara Reade coming on and saying, look, my daughter was sexually assaulted by a senator, and, she doesn't really know who to go to. She, there's like this idea that the only person she could go to is the press, and she doesn't want to do that because she doesn't want to destroy this man's reputation. So this matches the timeline, and it gets rid of really the idea that, oh, she's just lying now to kind of destroy Joe Biden, which is really the biggest impetus for why she would lie. So the fact that we have corroborating evidence that shows that she made this accusation previously, but she withheld it from the press to protect Joe Biden, it shows that, this probably happened, because no one makes up a lie and then doesn't tell anybody except for like their close personal family. But then years and years later, they decide, I'm going to make this a big, press thing. It's just really unlikely that it would work that way. If this was an accusation that was made up strictly to destroy the reputation of Joe Biden, then she probably would have come out with it then, or she would have, come out with it now and there wouldn't be this corroborating evidence. So the fact that she brought it up in private to her own mother back in the early 90s and then didn't come out with it publicly until much, 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 much later kind of lends it a lot more credibility. Because the most reasonable explanation for that sequence of events is that it happened the way that she said it happened. Is that ironclad? Is that 100% proof? No. But does it lend an air of credibility to her story? Yes. It's taken me from the position of I don't know what happened to I think this probably happened. And by the way, I think that brings I don't know all the nitty-gritty details of the sexual assault allegations against Donald Trump, so maybe what I'm about to say is incorrect. But I think that this now makes the accusation against Biden more credible than any of the ones I'm aware of against Trump. Because I've not heard any corroborating evidence of any of those. Now, like I said, I'm not super well informed on that, but that's where it's at. with that being said, it's kind of hard. Like this is the crux of where I'm at, because I've heard these arguments against Joe Biden, against the idea that you should vote for Joe Biden, and they resonate with me on a very emotional, primal level of like, I don't want to vote for a fucking rapist. I don't want to vote for a corrupt piece of shit. I don't want to endorse the actions of the DNC. It's very kind of emotional stuff. The only argument that I recognize as being not necessarily emotional is the one I've made repeatedly here, which is that if Trump wins in 2020, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and even progressives that are outside of the Democratic Party who can, vote in Democratic primaries, will have another shot at maybe getting the White House in 2024. I don't know what candidate they do it with. I haven't seen anyone that like, oh, that's our fucking guy or that's our gal. I haven't seen that person. So that kind of gives me some reticence, but I do think you got another shot. Now, in the meantime, I think, of course, there's other important positions besides the presidency. There's state senate, there's judges, there's all these elected positions that people should vote for. And, the ground game of the left in these smaller elections has been pretty pathetic, because we've been kind of blinded by our eye on the presidency prize. But we're not going to get it, right? When 2020, however it plays out, we ain't getting it. That's been deprived from us. So now it's like, do we go for the lesser of two evils option? Do we say fuck it? Do we say, all right, well, I'm going to vote third party? Do we say fuck it, I'm not going to vote? I'm not going to participate in this fucking system. I just don't see what leverage that gives you, unless you're just giving up, unless you're just saying like, I will not even participate in this fucking country. Damn it to hell. Fuck it all. Just let it burn. Like, if that's your attitude, I can understand it, because I've been there myself. But if you have some ideal of like, I want to change this, I want to change how things are run in this country, then, I don't really know what the strategy is of like, I'm not going to vote, I'm not going to participate, but somehow I'm going to enact my political will. Like, I don't see how it happens like that. Now, maybe that's just a dearth of imagination on my part, but that's where I'm at on that one. So the arguments for supporting Biden are something like, Biden is going to be maybe potentially more responsive to pressure from the left to push him in that direction a little more. Whereas we know Trump is not responsive at all. But, Biden might not be responsive at all either. I think it's probable that he would be, but there's no certainty. There's no fucking guarantee there. Like we already discussed, he'd probably make better court appointments, because if Trump stacks the Supreme Court, he could potentially reverse Roe v. Wade and, some other stuff. And make some really terrible pro-corporate, pro-business kind of decisions that go way too far in that direction. And then, of course, the climate change stuff. Trump is basically a climate change denier. Joe Biden is not. So it's like, we're back in this fucking same boat where we have to make this dumb choice where, wouldn't it be nice to have an American election where it was like between the greater of two goods? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that be a nice change of pace? Like, which of these two presidential candidates do I think would be better? Instead of like, which one's more horrible? I don't know. Like, wouldn't it be nice for once to get to make a choice that was based on like, hey, here's two preeminently qualified people? Or wouldn't it even be nicer if there was more than two and there was like a robust array of choices? Like, holy shit. So many options, so many good, solid candidates. But that, it doesn't seem like we're getting that. Didn't get it last election cycle. And by the way, I think this is our worst choice yet. At least in my lifetime. There's probably been worse ones. Like when it came down to Trump or Hillary, I'm like, this is the bar is as low as it can go. I was wrong. Sorry. I'm like pining for Hillary at this point. Like, come on, bring Hillary back. I'm sorry. Fucking, I didn't know it could get this bad. I didn't know I didn't know he would have to choose Joe Biden. But I'm not decided. Because, you know, even though I intellectually recognize that a lot of the arguments for why Joe Biden is probably a preferable choice, I recognize those intellectually, but emotionally, I'm not ready for it. You know, and maybe that's stupid. Maybe I shouldn't allow emotion to usurp reason. Maybe I should be very Ben Shapiro-ish about this and put the facts above my feelings. But I'm sorry, there's an emotional component to who the fuck I give my vote to. And like, it does feel like an endorsement. No matter how much you explain to me that, like, you know, it's not a matter of necessarily, like, endorsing this person with your vote. Sorry, it still feels like that. So it's really hard to wrap my mind around the idea, like, okay, I'm going to vote for this slimy, you know, rapist, corrupt piece of garbage that doesn't share fucking any of my beliefs or values in any way, shape, or form because he's not as bad as the other one who's the same. Really a fucking hard thing to wrap my fucking mind around. Really a hard lever to pull, button to push, ticket to punch, whatever the fuck your voting system is. Ugh. But, you know, the good news is that Joe Biden is so old and he's so senile that maybe we won't have to deal, maybe even if he does win, we won't have to deal with 4 years of him. So I thought we could take a moment to kind of look at some potential Joe Biden running mates, talk about them, talk about, you know, what exactly they would mean, why he might choose them, so on and so forth. So I have here a list of potential Joe Biden. Now, he's already said that he's going to vote for, I mean, he's going to pick a female. So I've excluded any sort of male candidate. I'm looking exclusively at the different women he might choose. Now, there's lots of these outsidery kind of picks. And a lot of times when people run for president, they want to choose someone who doesn't necessarily have a lot of name recognition, because someone without a lot of name recognition doesn't really have a lot of baggage. Like Hillary Clinton picked Tim Kaine. Had you ever heard of Tim Kaine before Hillary Clinton picked him? I hadn't. I don't know. I never fucking heard the name Tim Kaine once in my fucking life before it was Hillary Clinton's VP nomination. And you know what? I don't really think I've heard it since either. So, but Joe Biden really needs to pick someone with name recognition, in my opinion. He's way too weak not to do that, because, you know, his VP choice is going to be way more important than it usually is, because he's such a weak candidate, probably the weakest candidate I've seen in my lifetime since Bob Dole, who they ran in like 96 against Clinton, and he got a, you know, dismal showing in the fucking election. I think he got like 30% or some embarrassing fucking blowout. I mean, this guy, Bob Dole, if you're too young to remember Bob Dole, basically he was a guy, he was an old curmudgeonly Republican, and he would always hold a pen like this, right? Because he had some war injury, and I guess this like helped him with it. And he would hold the pen, and he would talk in the fucking third person. Literally, he'd be sitting there like, Bob Dole knows what Bob Dole wants, you know, and it's like, oh, no, wrong, we don't want that. So I do want to remind everyone at this time that, you know, Streamlabs Super Chats are open. I'm not ignoring them. I'm reading them at the end. That's how it works. So keep them coming. Don't feel like I'm not going to do it because he's not going to read it. I'm going to read them at the end. So let's go through some of these candidates that I think Joe Biden might choose. So the first one is Michelle Obama. There's been a lot of articles lately touting Michelle Obama as this big potential sort of vice presidential candidate for him. So Joe Biden has run, and I think pretty fucking successfully, on the idea that he is the heir apparent to Barack Obama. And it seemed like that's why every time he's ever been in a debate, he's constantly Obama, 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 Obama. Give him a chance to say Obama and he will say it. That's what he does. That's his strategy. Tie himself to Obama as much as possible, because he knows that a huge chunk of the Democratic base loves Obama, pines for Obama, wishes for Obama. Now, me personally, I think Obama sucked. I thought he was awful. He ran as a fucking progressive, but then governed as a neoliberal, centrist establishment piece of shit. So I got no love for Obama. I think Obama fucking sucked. But that, you know, my feeling is not the feeling of all who vote in Democratic primaries. And a lot of the people who really loved Obama transferred that love right on over to Joe. So obviously, putting Michelle Obama on the ticket, that means he gets to actually have the Obama name on all of his stuff. You know, Biden, Obama, oh, Biden, Obama, Biden, Obama. So it's like, it's almost like he's with that Obama, with a Michelle Obama pick, he's basically saying to potential voters, you know, not only am I Obama's VP, but his wife is my running mate. This is as close as you can fucking possibly get to a third term of Obama. So if that's what you want, that's what I'm going to give you. So obviously the strategy he's used so far has been tie himself to Obama, tie himself to Obama, tie himself to Obama. He might view that. That's why he might choose this option. Also, she's a black woman. So he's definitely going to tout the historicity of that. The first black female vice presidential candidate. The first black female vice president. Come step on up. Be part of history. She's black and she's a woman. This is a great day for America. So the people who are super into identity politics, who think that there's nothing more important about a candidate than their race and their gender. This might be their day. This is a big selling point for that crowd. And also, I mean, let's be honest. Joe Biden's chances of finishing out a whole term, pretty shaky. So they're going to think to themselves, I'm not really just voting for the first black female vice president. I'm really voting for the first black female president if I do this. So that sways a lot of people. They want to be part of history. On paper, at least, she's popular. Now, I have never heard in my day-to-day life, or online or offline, anybody in my circle ever fucking tout the greatness of Michelle Obama. I've never heard anyone be like, you know who I really admire? Michelle Obama. I mean, I don't get it. It doesn't seem like she's popular in the circles I travel in, but there's been tons of polling done on this, and apparently somewhere in America, this chick is uber popular. She was voted most admired woman in 2019 by some prestigious fucking whatever that does that. I don't care. But, that's a good reason. If you're fucking running for president and you're trying to choose a VP candidate, hey, the most admired woman in America seems like a pretty fair fucking choice. Another thing is she doesn't really have much baggage, because she was never a policymaker. So the two things that they kind of, I've seen, the two main attacks I see from the right wing against Michelle Obama, up to this point, have been her school lunch program, where, people are like, oh, her school lunch program sucked. And, people, a lot of kids took pictures of these really shitty, miserable looking school lunches and were like, fuck you, Michelle Obama. This is your fault. You're garbage, burn in hell, whatever the fuck. But, I don't think that's, that ain't sinking the fucking Titanic, right? The other thing they used to say against her is that she's secretly transgender. They have this thing where she was born like Michael and, she changed her name and, but she still got a dick and it's just really weird. It's whatever, I don't think most Americans are going to be too swayed by the secret tranny argument. So, I don't know. She seems like a pretty fucking safe choice. Now, that being said, would I personally be excited about the prospect of a Michelle Obama vice presidency? No. I don't give a fuck about Michelle Obama at all. But I could see why he might go down that path. So another option, and this has been, I think he's going to do this choice, because the thing about Michelle Obama is I don't think she really wants it. Maybe I'm wrong. A lot of times these politicians, they act like they don't want it, but they do. So maybe Michelle Obama's actually, chomping at the bit to be VP, but everything I've seen kind of indicates that she's not really super interested in doing that. the other choice, or at least the next choice I have on my list here, is Kamala Harris. So it also hits that like, oh, it's a black woman kind of thing. We already discussed that. The other thing about her is that she's extraordinarily politically pliable. You know, she's definitely one of these total phonies, which I think appeals to Joe Biden. It kind of depends, though. If does Joe Biden want a vice president that's going to be someone who fucking falls in line behind everything he says and does, or does he want someone who's going to legitimately kind of contribute ideas to the conversation? If he wants someone who's just a fall in line sycophant waiting for their day, then Kamala Harris is a great choice. You know, she's totally politically pliable. She'll go wherever the fucking wind is blowing or wherever she thinks it's blowing. You know, we've seen her perform pretty well in that first Democratic debate. She did miserably after that. The reason I think she performed well in that first debate was because she was basically aping a bunch of Bernie Sanders talking points and going for the more left-leaning kind of Democratic position. But then when they saw how strong she was doing in the debate, she attracted a lot of big donors, and those big donors are like, we don't like you to be this far left. You're going to have to kind of move to the center. Well, you're going to have to move to the right, basically. And she did. And so it kind of took the wind out of her sails because she no longer had something to kind of stand apart from the crowd. And so she ended up fucking, trying to use really lame sort of tactics like, I'm going to get Trump banned off Twitter. That was like her big tactic at that point, which is, of course, just like ridiculously fucking lame. Like she really thought she was going to drum up votes on the fucking ban Trump from Twitter. Like, just a miserable strategy. But the fact that she went with that just shows how pliable she is. Whatever the people, in charge of her tell her to believe or say or do, she will listen. So Joe Biden, that might appeal to Joe Biden. So another option here is Hillary Clinton. Now, a lot of people in my fan base seem to be pretty convinced that he's going with Hillary. Like, they think that Joe Biden is not even a real candidate, that he is just a way to sneak Hillary Clinton into power. It's basically just the latest Hillary Clinton scheme to seize power. She couldn't get it in 2016, so she's going to get it in 2020 by posing as a vice presidential candidate. But then when Joe Biden gets in the White House, shortly thereafter, it's going to be like, I have suffered mental decline and I can no longer fulfill my duty in the office of president. And now Hillary's president. And that's how she sneaks into fucking power. That's a big conspiracy theory. And you know what? I can't totally write that off. So first of all, we know from 2016 that Hillary Clinton, maybe her power has diminished since then, but we know at least at the time that she was basically the big boss over at the DNC, that what she says goes. So, and we know that Hillary Clinton wants nothing more on this earth than to be president of the United States. So maybe this is just a way to sneak her into power. So why would you pick her? So maybe it gives a lot of the more establishment Democratic voters a chance to, relitigate 2020, right? I'm sorry, relitigate 2016 in 2020. Because, there's all these people out there, and I've seen them on Twitter, and you've seen them on Twitter, and we've all seen them, I'm sure, where they're just like, oh, man, wish we could have had Hillary, sour grapes about how Hillary didn't win. So they might view this as like, this is our second chance. This time we can get it. This time we can get Hillary. And, there's certain things that Hillary has done that make me believe that maybe this is what's going to happen. So first of all, Hillary has stayed in the public eye. And there's not really much reason for her to do that. She's not running for any office that we know of. There's not any really tremendous incentive for her to be in the public eye that we know of. And yet she's been doing it. She's been making media appearances. She's been posting videos. She's been tweeting pretty actively. She's been her tweets have been going viral a lot lately, more than they had been in previous years. So it's almost like there's been a concerted push behind putting Hillary back out there in the public consciousness as much as possible. And her website just a few months ago I don't know, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, something like that, was updated with all these new policy positions. Like, here's Hillary's policies. It's like, this kind of weird for someone who's not running for office to have all these policy positions on their webpage. So it kind of led at the time to all this speculation of like, is Hillary going to enter this race? Maybe she's not. Maybe this was the plan all along. Push up, prop up Joe Biden, and I'll sneak in through the gate of Joe Biden, basically. Now, it's a conspiracy theory. It's kind of out there. I don't necessarily think this is what's going to happen, but I've not written off the possibility. So let's talk about another potential candidate, Elizabeth Warren. So what does Elizabeth Warren have to offer Joe Biden in a VP slot? So first of all, she's a pseudo-progressive. A lot of people still believe that she is progressive. I don't know how they possibly could at this point. I mean, she backstabbed Bernie Sanders. Just today, she endorsed 20 different candidates, but none of them were like there's all these new progressive candidates like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and so on and so forth. She did not endorse any of them. She did refuse to endorse Bernie. She backstabbed Bernie on the campaign trail, made this completely bogus allegation of misogyny against Bernie Sanders that we all knew was 100% crap. But somehow, to at least some segment of people, she maintains this progressive credibility. So maybe Joe Biden looks at his problem attracting youth voters, looks at his problem attracting more lefty voters, and he says, the solution is Elizabeth Warren because she's a great fucking fake progressive. She knows how to virtue signal to progressive voters without actually doing any of the things that they want. She plays the game. Now, unlike someone like Kamala Harris, though, Elizabeth Warren is going to have her own fucking ideas and her own fucking agenda. She's not just going to back whatever Joe Biden says or does. Now, she will back him, but there's going to be way more pushback with her. So I don't know if Grandpa Joe really wants to deal with that, especially since we've seen that she can be pretty fucking aggressive. She has a pretty versatile approach to politics where sometimes she can be this very like soft-voiced figure, and other times she can be this very angry and in-your-face figure. We saw that with her basically fucking demolishing Bloomberg. So, she's got some skills to pay the bills. I don't like her politics. I think she's a dirty, lying, scumfuck asshole. But, she's got game. So maybe that'd be a good choice for Joe. So Amy Klobuchar, the things I have for her is that she's horrible in every way. There's literally not a single thing appealing about Amy Klobuchar to me. I think that she's probably one of the worst possible choices Joe Biden could possibly make. But that's probably why Joe Biden might find her appealing. Looks at Amy Klobuchar, she's like, wow, she's horrible in every way. I'm horrible in every way. It's a match made in heaven. Let's get together. I guess that Amy Klobuchar has actually got some popularity in like these Midwest kind of states, which, Trump won last time around. So maybe he views that as an advantage. But man, I hate Amy Klobuchar. I really fucking despise her guts. But that's, everything has gone so horribly for so long that it almost feels like that's inevitably going to be the choice because it's the worst possible choice. So that's why I think that's a possibility. So let's talk about a distant, like, whoa, distant. So at a real distant possibility. Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, I know. I'm laughing at myself for even bringing this one up because, of course, he's not going to pick fucking Tulsi Gabbard. So first of all, Tulsi Gabbard is a maverick. She does not go along with the party line. She's willing to go way outside the norms of the Democratic Party. So that immediately pretty much disqualifies her in the eyes of someone like Joe Biden, I'm sure. But, honestly, it could be an advantage. She's anti-establishment. He is the establishment. And she has conservative cross appeal. Now, I don't know that conservative cross appeal is much of a factor. I don't think anyone's going to jump from voting for Trump to voting for Biden because Tulsi Gabbard is there. But I do know that some conservatives think very highly of Tulsi Gabbard for whatever reason. Now, the cool thing about Tulsi Gabbard is that her foreign policy chops are very different than the mainstream sort of Democrat-Republican points. You know, she wants a much less aggressive foreign policy. Now, when it comes to, like, you know, she's not like a pacifist or anything. She does still want to, you know, like bomb the terrorists or whatever. But she's not a fan of these long occupations. She's not a fan of these regime change wars. She's not a fan of proxy wars. You know, she thinks that it's a betrayal of the trust of our soldiers when we send them to die to advance the monetary interests of American businesses. And she's absolutely right. If she actually holds those positions, who knows? She's never really been given enough power for that to be tested. But I think it's pretty fucking interesting as a choice. Now, Joe Biden will not pick Tulsi Gabbard, but if he did, wow, that would really be that would be the one that might actually be a mover and shaker kind of thing. But of course, that's not what's going to happen. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have on the Biden VP picks. And there's some other choices, but the other choices I've seen being bandied about are all people who have shit name recognition value. I really think if I was Biden, or if I was Biden's campaign, any sort of like position to advise Biden, I'd be like, do not pick some no name. You suck. You're awful. You need someone who has name recognition to kind of share this ticket with, because they need to look at it as, I'm not just voting for Biden, I'm also voting for this woman. And the reason you got to do that is because, you know, like, you're so horrible. You're just wretchedly horrible. Like, I saw this tweet the other day on Trump's Twitter, and it's been taken down since for some kind of copyright violation or some nonsense. But what it was a bunch of dudes, you know, a bunch of black dudes sitting around watching the television, and one of the guys was Barack Obama, and it was someone else originally, because this is like a commercial that was edited and altered by, you know, some kind of Trump supporter or whatever. So they Photoshop, or I guess not Photoshop, Adobe After Effects, some, like, you know, Obama's face on somebody else. And Obama's watching TV with his friends, and it's like, oh, a commercial's coming on. And then the commercial was, you know, Joe Biden talking about, you know, it was during that whole corn pop fiasco where he was talking about, you know, and the kids like to rub my legs, and, you know, the kids rub my legs, and they like to watch my leg hairs stand up. And it's like, oh my God. And, you know, all the dudes start looking at Obama like, what the fuck? And Obama's like, what? You know? And Trump retweeted that, and it was such a fucking sick burn. And, you know, this is just the beginning of Trump just dunking and dunking and dunking and dunking on Joe Biden. So Joe Biden is so fucking weak, so incredibly bad. And, you know, he's such a defenseless little lamb against the fucking Trump meat grinder, you know. And look, Trump's a dumbass. Trump says dumbass shit. You know, this whole thing recently with Trump being like, maybe we could like inject disinfectant in people to cure the coronavirus. Obviously, people have been having a field day with that shit. And, you know, I had a little jab on Twitter myself, you know, and it was a really dumb comment. And of course, all the conservatives defended it, and then Trump came out today and was like, I was just being sarcastic. So it's like, you know, oh, it was sarcasm, right? So thus making all the conservatives that defended it as a real statement look like fucking morons, because even Trump backed down from it. But whatever. You know, so Trump's got his own little weaknesses and shit, but the problem is, Biden cannot dunk on Trump and Trump's weaknesses with the same efficacy that Trump can dunk on Biden and his weaknesses, because Trump is just a fucking, say what you want about him, he may be a dumbass, but he's smart in a lot of ways that fucking count. I don't think Trump is an idiot. I've never thought he was an idiot. He's not articulate, and I don't think he understands a lot of things about the world, but one thing he definitely understands is the psychology of a fucking crowd. And one thing he definitely understands is how to fucking slam somebody, dunk somebody, destroy somebody. In a fucking debate, in a discussion. He knows how to fucking push his weight around and get his fucking way. And I think that when it comes to a Trump versus Biden kind of debate stage thing, oh my God, it's going to be embarrassing. It is going to be a fucking slaughter. So Joe Biden definitely needs to try to offset that as much as possible with a solid running mate that's going to appeal to as many fucking voters as he possibly can. Will he be smart enough to do that? Nothing thus far has led me to believe that he is. But, you know, Joe Biden is... He's just like the little retarded engine that could, isn't he? Because, like, I never, ever, you guys, saw Joe Biden winning this primary. I never saw that. I never would have believed it in a million years. If a future version of myself came back from now to, like, 6 months ago and told me Joe Biden's going to be the guy, I'd have been like, you're lying, future me. You're full of shit. But it happened. So I guess don't count out Joe Biden. But man, like, what a terrible circumstance we find ourselves in, where we're forced to choose between two dementia-addled, idiotic, regressive, fucking sexual assault accused, corrupt, pro-business, pro-war pieces of fucking shit. Like, how is that the choice again? Oh. Will we ever have a better choice in our lifetimes? I fucking hope so. But we're not getting it in 2020. So that's your fucking choice. You can also choose not to vote. You can also choose to vote third party. But really, those are your two choices. That's the way our system's set up. Pragmatically, you have to recognize those are your fucking options. Anyway, let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at some of these protesters here. These protesters against the quarantine, the stay-at-home orders, the social distancing guidelines of our society. So this is just 18 examples, I guess. I think this is 18. No, 16. Sorry, I was wrong. So here's a sign here. End the lockdown rally. No mask needed. Bring your children. Non-essential workers. If you're sick. If you're sick, still come. It's your right. The person who retweeted this is like, did the virus write this? It's like the scene in Robot Chicken where Jaws infiltrates the community meeting about Jaws and is like, I say we let him go. It's like, fuck. This is, it's just the stupidity here is just next fucking level. It's not only it's like, take no precautions. Even if you're fucking sick, still come. Bring your children so they can get infected. Don't wear a mask to increase your chances of an infection. It's like they're trying as hard as they can to get the fucking coronavirus. It's like they're desperate to fucking get the coronavirus. I almost feel like this had to have been written by a fucking cheeky liberal or leftist that was just like trying to make these people see how stupid. So here's something here. An incredible series of photos by Allison McLaren in Denver. She writes, healthcare workers stand in the street in counter protests to hundreds of people who demand the stay-at-home order be lifted. I can't really see exactly what that sign says. It just says land free. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Give me liberty or give me COVID-19. What are you fighting for? Like, what are you like? Seriously, like, what's the message here? I refuse to be inconvenienced even slightly for this national pandemic that has just killed 51,000 Americans and quite possibly more. I refuse to stay at home. I refuse to take even the slightest precaution because freedom. These people are going to be the death of us. You realize that, right? Like, maybe not in this instance because COVID-19 isn't really deadly enough to be the death of us all. But, like, when the big disaster comes, when the one that's really the world ender comes, like when the zombie apocalypse starts and it's like, everyone stay in your homes and barricade, these motherfuckers going to be like, fuck that, why is Disney World closed? Like, these are going to be the motherfuckers that are the end of us. I want you all to know that. My body, my choice, Trump 2020, with the fucking X through the mask. Like, how dare you ask me to wear a fucking face mask? Meanwhile, she's got a bandana on that she's clearly been using as a face mask, so mixed messages much. This is a mass vaccination campaign hosted by Bill Gates, Pharma, and Anthony Fauci, paid for by our jobs and economy. What interest would businessman Bill Gates and the giant pharmaceutical industry and Trump's own appointee Anthony Fauci have in shutting down the economy for some fake virus? Like, how would that benefit them? Like, okay, so it's a vaccination campaign, right? What benefit do they get from vaccinating us? Like, ooh, we're going to give you the fake vaccine. What does it really do? Is it like a mind control serum? Oh, this will make the populace more, like, what, to what fucking end? Like, explain to me why, like, what, it's a giant scheme to shut down the country to get us all to take a vaccine for a fucking virus that apparently doesn't even really exist, according to these people. I don't get it. The media is the real virus. Look, I got my problems with the mainstream media and shit, but no, the virus is the real virus. The virus that has infected 880,000 people in this country and counting, and like 2.5 million across the globe. Actually, the real number is definitely way higher, and we've seen 51,000 plus deaths in this country alone. And the first death from this shit was like 2 months ago. So in 2 months, this has killed 51,000 people. The first case of coronavirus in this country was 4 months ago. So if you want to be more generous, you could say it's killed 51,000 people in 4 months. But as long as this virus has been killing people in America, it has killed 51,000 fucking people in a matter of months. 2 months or 4 months. You can count from either the first case in America or the first death in America. It's extraordinarily fucking deadly. I think the kill rate right now, according to the actual data we have, is 5.6, 5.7 fucking % kill rate. And you know, that number, you know, look, there's a lot of people who are asymptomatic, so maybe that maybe it's actually a much lower percentage of people who have died, but there's also a lot of people who have died from mysterious respiratory illnesses who have never been diagnosed with coronavirus that could have very well been coronavirus deaths. So the number could actually be much worse. We don't know. The number could be higher, the number could be lower, but based on what we know concretely, that we have 51,000 deaths out of like 880,000 infections, that puts us at about 5.6, 5.7%. So how do you look at those numbers and say, not real, bunch of bullshit, bunch of lies? So this woman just says, I want a haircut. Yeah. Good. Good for you. Good. I mean, yeah. I mean, good. That's right. I mean, look, when I'm kind of weighing things out in my head, and I'm just kind of like, okay, so what's more important? The safety and mortality of everyone in America, or Karen here getting her hair cut. And I really struggled with it, but I came once and for all definitively to the conclusion Karen needs that haircut. I mean, you look at her hair; it's a mess. She needs that haircut. If a few million people have to die, so be it. My body, my choice, no mask. Okay. Is it kind of weird to you that these conservatives are out there with this my body, my choice shit when they don't even agree with the fucking way that term is usually used? Right? Because I'm about 99% sure that all these people, or at least most of these people, are against abortion rights. And yet they're hijacking pro-choice rhetoric to be like, my body, my choice, my body, my choice. If you are pregnant, that affects you and you the fuck alone. If there is a global pandemic, that affects everyone. Not really an analogous situation, dipshit. Let my parents go back to work. They're driving me crazy. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough point there. Vaccines are not placebo safety tested. What's next? Concentration camps? Concentrations crossed out and replaced with quarantine camps. No, because a quarantine camp would be a place for the virus to spread. They're not going to put you in a camp because that's the opposite. They want you to isolate from other people. Putting you all in one concentrated location would be like asking for the fucking virus to spread. So no, dumbass, there won't be any quarantine camps. Just stay in your fucking house. Like, is this really so fucking hard? You know? Like, people in fucking, like, miserable winter states that, like, where it's, like, wall-to-wall snow for, like, 4 or 5 months out of the year, stay inside pretty much all winter, a lot of them. You know? If they can do it, you can do it. Stay the fuck home. Only go out when you absolutely need to. Show me the data. Okay. Sure thing, baby. Well, I could have written that better. I can't type, apparently. Let's take a look. Here you go. Here's the data that you requested, madam. I'm assuming you want to know the U.S. data, so here's just a map of the U.S. right here. Here we go. So, yeah. Here it is. Here's the data. Here's a breakdown of infections by, like, county in America. Here's a color-coded fucking chart that shows the infection hotspots and where they are. Right? Here you go. You wanted it. You got it. Here's a little fucking nice little graph that shows the spread of the virus. As you can see, it's trending ever upward. Let's take a look at the overall numbers, even though I already told them to you. So let's look at U.S. We got 890,524 cases. We got 51,017 deaths. We have 4,692,797 tested. And there's a nice little breakdown where you can look at what states have been affected, what counties have been affected, how many people have been tested in different places. So, yeah, here you go. Here's the data. You happy now? Big Pharma won't win. Yeah. Okay. Our rights are not yours to control. there's a global pandemic. I don't know if you guys, global pandemic, 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 global pandemic. These people are basically saying that their bullshit rights to go do whatever the fuck they want and be like, this is basically the equivalent of arguing like I should have the right to light my house on fire. Like, well, no, because you're going to burn down the whole neighborhood. All the houses here are really close together. Yeah, but it's my house. I got the right to burn it down if I want. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't, dumbass. There's certain fucking, you ever heard the fucking phrase that like your right to throw punches ends where somebody else's face begins? You ever heard that? This would fall under that. Guy wrote an essay on his fucking pickup truck. That face mask you were duped into wearing symbolizes you losing your free. I hate people who can't spell losing, dude. There is one O in losing. There is one fucking O in losing. Losing your freedom of speech. Government is the only non-essential business. Oh, yeah. Who paid for the roads you drive that truck on again? I forget. Was that private business interests? Oh, no, it was the government. That's right. I'll take dangerous freedom over peaceful tyranny. No, what you're basically saying, no, here's your real sign. I will take the coronavirus over mild inconvenience. That's what you're really fighting for. So fuck you. Quit framing it in these lofty fucking I'm a freedom fighter terms. The only thing you're fighting for is the right to be a complete fucking moron. And I don't respect your right to do that. Sit down and shut up. Go home, watch some Netflix for a few months until this all blows over. Social distancing equals communism. Oh, holy shit, you're right. That's been the communist ideal all along. Which is weird because I've always heard from the right wing that communists are like totally like super collectivist and shit. So it kind of seems like social distancing would be kind of opposite. Isn't it the conservatives who usually say that they're like rugged individualists? So shouldn't social distancing be like rugged individualism and therefore a conservative value? I mean, social distancing doesn't have a political fucking affiliation. It's a fucking strategy to deal with the outbreak of a deadly virus. It's not a political ideology, you dipshit. But if it was, it seems like it'd be far more in line with conservative values than fucking communist ones. And finally, let phase 1 begin. Save our small business. Our children deserve to live the American dream. No one's trying to take it from you, dumbass. No one's like, oh my God, I can't deal with these people. So this is, I think, to me, a lesson in what fear does to a population. It reminds me of the, Dune is coming out pretty soon, the Dune movie. It reminds me of the mantra from Dune. I probably should have written the whole thing out, but the essence of the Dune mantra is that fear is the mind killer. Fear basically compromises all rational judgment. Fear overrides any sort of, reasonability, rationality, clear thinking, and it just turns people into fucking idiots. And this, to me, these protesters are a prime fucking example of that. Because they're obviously terrified of the implications of something like a coronavirus. Because there's nothing they can do. The only thing they can do is stay home and wait it out. But that's not empowering enough for them. They need to feel like they can have some control over it. So if it's all a government conspiracy, or if it's all cooked up by Bill Gates to fucking pointlessly shill some vaccine, or, if it's some government plot to take away their freedom, or whatever the fuck they think, or it's like a communist infiltrator thing, like, they can fight against that. That's an enemy with a face that they have some sort of recourse against. That makes them feel empowered. That makes them feel like there's something they can do. So instead of accepting that this is an enemy without a face, without an agenda, that just wants nothing more than to spread and to make you sick and to kill you, and there's nothing you can do other than avoid it, that's too harsh of a reality. So instead, they escape into this fantasy world where it's all a conspiracy. Because if it's all a conspiracy, there's conspirators. And if there's conspirators, then you can stand up against them. And you can say, I won't let you win, conspirators. I won't let you oppress me. I won't let you take away my freedom. It's a means of feeling like they have some kind of power and some kind of control. Let me break it to you. You don't have power. You don't have control. It's a virus. It's a naturally occurring fucking event that has happened numerous times in human history and will happen numerous times more. So the only rational recourse that you have is to follow the social distancing guidelines that have been laid out by the CDC, by the World Health Organization, and by other fucking experts in this field. And if you don't want to do that, I'm sorry, but you're a fucking moron. You're a fucking moron. Full stop, period, the end. I've had people come to me and say, well, look, I don't believe in the coronavirus. Well, I don't believe in that fucking truck hurtling towards my face, so I'm not going to move out of the way. Oh, it hit me anyway. Your lack of belief in something for which there is a mountain of evidence does not make it not a real thing. It's not going to protect you. It's not going to shield you. You thinking it's all a conspiracy is not going to make it go away. It's not going to make those corona germs go, uh-oh, well, we got a non-believer here. Can't possibly infect that person. We've seen people also, it's not just politically conservative people, it's also religious people. We saw this woman the other day on one of the streams we were doing on Deep Fat Fried, where the woman is like, oh, well, I'm protected because I'm washed in the blood of the Lamb. I got Jesus's blood upon me. So, it's not going to hurt me. The coronavirus won't attack me because I'm blessed by Jesus. This is a fantasy. You're living in a fantasy world. You can't escape reality by simply denying it or by making up a crazy fictional superhero to come and save you by the name of Jesus. None of that's going to work. You know what's going to work? Social distancing, staying at home, avoiding other people. That's the fucking solution. That's your only fucking option. That's the only intelligent option we have at this point. Maybe we'll have another option in the future. Maybe we're going to find an effective treatment. I hope we will. Maybe we're going to find a vaccine at some point. We probably will. Maybe we'll come up with some other better. Maybe we'll come up with better testing that's going to allow more of the economy to stay open. I hope for all of those things, and I hope for them in short order, because obviously shutting down the economy has disastrous implications for all of us. And no one wants that. No one wants there to be, a condition where, the economy's in the toilet and we're plunged back into a fucking depression. Nobody wants that. That's not in anybody's best interest. But, if that has to be what happens for us to deal with the fucking a virus that potentially has a 5.6% or 5.7% fatality rate that could potentially kill millions and is on its way to doing that globally and maybe on its way to doing it here, we have to take these fucking measures. It makes no sense. It's not responsible to just let people die in service of the economy. Now, I understand if the economy gets, bad enough, then that's going to have its own problems. That's going to be its own, burden for people to bear. But, we're not doing any of the things to alleviate that burden. We haven't done a rent freeze. We haven't done a mortgage freeze. We're not sending out the UBI checks. We sent out like this $1,200 check. That's not going to do it. There hasn't been a temporary government takeover of certain industries that are vital to the continuation of the economy. We've left it in private hands. So there's all these things we could be doing that we're not doing, and it's fucking ridiculous. So anyway, I don't want to get too much into it. I'm not a fucking expert. Don't listen to me. Go listen to the CDC. Go listen to the World Health Organization. Go listen to fucking experts in viruses and pandemics. There's plenty of them out there, and they're not hard to find at this point. But as from my perspective as a layman, that's where I'm at right now. So Anyway, I said that at the end of this all, we would go ahead and get us to some Streamlabs and some Super Chats. And that's exactly what we're going to do at this point in the presentation. The scripted bit is over. I think we could turn off the other camera to preserve battery. I won't be using that one for the remainder of the broadcast. So let's go ahead and look at some things here. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with the Streamlab donations, because I think there's usually less of those. Most people favor doing it through the YouTube Super Chat feature. So let's go ahead and see here. Where did those begin? Okay. Think. Did they begin here? No, those can't be from today. Those must be from yesterday. Okay. Really wish Vosh and Kyle could talk. Maybe Daniel from Hard Lens Media. Now, I'm not sure who Daniel from Hard Lens Media is, but, you know, the reason I wanted to get Vosh and Kyle talking was primarily because I wanted them to have a productive discussion where, you know, each one could, you know, be made to see a little bit of the other's point of view. Because what's going to happen now is Kyle put out a point of view. Vosh is going to come out with a response. There's not going to be an impetus for charitability between them. There's not going to be an impetus for them to get along. There's just going to be an impetus for I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. And I think I could have brought them together a little bit more and bridged that gap. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen now. So, whatever. I tried. Word is spreading in the past hour or so on Chinese Weibo that Kim Jong-un is dead. China sent doctors to North Korea. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, if the news starts reporting it, we'll take it seriously. Oh, I should probably tell people. So it was Ben Riley who asked that first Kyle and Vosh question, gave 666. The next question after that is Bobbert, gave $11 and said, longtime fan, part of whatever pipeline starts at 2011 TJ and goes to Kyle Kalinske and Vosh. Keep up the good work and stay safe. I've been staying pretty safe. My worst vice at this point is that I do smoke cigarettes and I continuously go out to get cigarettes. I try to buy 5 packs at a time, which usually lasts me about 9 or 10 days, I guess. Maybe a little less. I don't know. I guess they probably last about 6 days, 7 days. I'm about 15 cigarettes a day, so I don't know. But yeah, thank you. Rupenheim, I love Kyle, but he's a debate pussy. He is afraid to debate other left-wingers. He's been fucking Destiny's stupid ass for over a year. I do not buy his excuse about a Vosh debate at all. You know, I've never known Kyle to... I mean, look, Kyle has made it pretty clear that he does not think very highly of the debate format in general. He's not a huge fan of debates. He doesn't think that they're usually very productive. But I feel like I could have hosted a pretty productive debate between him and Vosh. But, you know, that's maybe me just tooting my own horn a little bit there. You know, I don't think he pussied out of it. I think he legitimately doesn't want to be necessarily seen as the Bernie or bust spokesman. But I think he needs to acknowledge the fact that he is. You know, you just can't... You can't say I'm not because I don't want to be. It's not up to you. You're putting it out there. You're making a case for it. People are going to buy into that case, especially as respected and you know, listened to as you are. You know, I wish he would just say, like, I am advocating for this position. I am evangelizing it, because that would at least, I mean, I think that'd be more honest. But I think that he genuinely doesn't want to. I think that basically Kyle... Look, should I get into like speculating about where Kyle's brain is at? I don't know if I should. Okay, so take this with a grain of salt, I guess, is my thing before it. But I think that Kyle, you know, he was obviously very invested in the election of Bernie Sanders. And when Bernie stopped being a viable option, I think Kyle is probably going through a period right now of not really being sure what to advocate for. what to push for. I don't know that he knows what direction the left can take from here on. I think that he's kind of at a loss, and that he's kind of maybe trying to reformulate where he's at, and trying to look at the new topography he finds himself within and try to acclimate to it. I think that's where he's at this point. But, that's just I could be totally wrong. He should speak for himself if he wants to clarify on that. But I don't think he's a pussy. I never would view him that way. I mean, I saw him go up against Razor Fist. I saw him go up against Charlie Kirk. I don't think that he's scared. I just don't think he wants to be. I don't think he wants to be seen as an advocate for the position. Word is that was from Rubenheim for 666. So the next person is Scotty Sucks for 666. Sorry, Scotty. And that's the guy that told me that Kim Jong-un might be dead. So I don't know. Ben Riley gave 666. He said Kyle's point of view on media influence. He sent me a YouTube video. I think you'd benefit from this article regarding your vote. And then he sent me some kind of mathematical analysis. I'll maybe try to look at those links a little later. Let me save that. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll go ahead and open a notepad document and save those links for later consideration. Thank you. Ben Riley again with another 666. Also, remember the tagline from Alien vs. Predator, whoever wins, we lose. Yeah, I think we used that in the 2016 one too, so it's familiar to me. DOCDF. Hey, TJ, conservative fan of 5 years here. While I don't agree with everything you talk about, I love your work, and you are one of the people responsible for my transition to full-on atheism. Stay safe and good luck. Yeah. So, look, I have conservative viewers. I know I do, and I know I've been doing a lot of, liberal, or not really even liberal, because I kind of use liberal and leftist interchangeably because I'm not super well versed in political ideological terms, but I understand that liberals and leftists, progressive, whatever, it's not all the same thing. But for so long, I've just put them all under the umbrella of liberal. So sometimes you'll hear me slipping and saying I'm a liberal when I'm really not by the standard political definition of liberal. But I am a leftist. But I respect conservatives, I'm not I don't really have this open antagonism, but I think that, sometimes they do things that I think are really misguided. But I think there's a lot more good faith on the conservative side of the aisle than some of the less charitable leftists kind of attribute to them. That being said, I disagree with pretty much everything you believe. I doubt Biden will be. This is Killer Queen with another 666. I doubt Biden will be responsive to any pushing from progressives, especially after spending the entire primary shitting on progressive ideas and winning. This primary, in particular, has made the left look very weak, at least electorally. I don't think that's true. I think that maybe that's true to a limited extent. But I mean, Bernie Sanders is one of the fucking furthest left politicians in history, the history of this country anyway. Definitely not in history. It's ridiculous hyperbole. But in the history of this country, he's one of the most leftist politicians to ever get as close as he did to winning the nomination. And he did it twice. So it showed, I think that Bernie Sanders had staying power. It showed that he had a tremendous fundraising power. And it showed that, you can have a, very left-leaning grassroots populist movement in this country. It just wasn't enough. If the field had stayed crowded, it might have been enough. I think it probably would have been enough. And in fact, Bernie was the presumptive frontrunner for a long time. But the establishment coalesced around Biden, and we just did not have the time to make the course correction there. So I don't think the left looks particularly weak right now. I think that it looks stronger than it ever has in the past. There really, prior to Bernie Sanders, there really wasn't a viable left-leaning movement in this country. There is now. So I definitely disagree. We might not be as strong as we need to be yet, but we're certainly stronger than we have been historically. Bleeding Prolapsed Anus, beautiful name, gave $6.66, and he said, give me Applebee's or give me death. What's the difference? That's my question. Yaz gave an incredibly generous $27.33. and said, if Joe didn't declare that he would appoint a woman, do you think he would name Bernie as VP? Another question, please. If new developments led to Joe becoming largely unqualified in the public eye, does the DNC have the power to replace his candidacy? Prior to officially giving him the nomination, they can give the nomination to whoever they want. They do not have to respect the will of the voters. They can pick anybody. They could decide they're running whoever, as long as they're technically qualified to be president. Anybody who meets the criteria, the very limited criteria to be president, which is be over 35 years old and be a natural-born citizen of this country. As long as they meet that criteria, they could pick anybody. They could, they could run anyone they want. Voting, I don't see why they would necessarily jump ship from Biden, but maybe if he becomes even too much of an embarrassment for them, they will. I don't know. Ultrasound 700, $6.66. A relative of mine unironically said most people dying are black because they can't absorb as much vitamin D through the sun, and vitamin D strengthens the immune system. Same person says quarantine is overkill. Try finding a dumber take. You can't. I don't know. I think the take that this is all a plot to get us all inoculated with some vaccine by Bill Gates, I guess, for no apparent reason might be dumber, but I don't know. I'd have to hear the nitty-gritty details of what the fuck that person was referencing. I can't, so this is Hyperblob with a $6.66. I can't understand why the DNC would back Biden so hard when there were so many and much more viable corporate shills when this started. Yeah, that really bothers me too. Because it's I understand the establishment trying to win. Of course, they don't want their party taken over by a bunch of crazy leftists who tell them they can't take corporate money and do what's in corporate interest anymore. That makes sense to me. They want to preserve the status quo. But Biden, Biden, put up Buttigieg. You should have had Biden drop out and been Buttigieg, why Biden? What a weird fucking choice. Get Buttigieg out there. Push Warren. I don't know, push somebody other than a fucking dementia-addled fucking old man who fucking is on camera groping women and girls. What the fuck? That's really the, best foot forward as far as the establishment goes? Whatever. I guess that they feel like he had the Obama magic kind of rubbed off on him. Paragon Absolution gave $1 and said, what are your thoughts on free will, freedom from causality in the scientific sense? Some prominent neuroscientists believe it doesn't exist. If that's true, everyone, including people you find detestable, are just products of environment and genetics. So here's my deal on free will. I've said it numerous times. I'll say it again. I don't care. I don't see how it's consequential. Because if there is free will or if there isn't free will, we still have the illusion of free will. We still have the innate sense of free will and making choices. And I just don't know what it changes. I can't see what issue it has any bearing on. I don't see the pragmatic implication one way or the other of acknowledging or not acknowledging free will. So therefore, it's not too interesting to me. That being said, I think there's probably not, at least in the sense that a Christian or something would say free will. I don't think it exists in that sense. But maybe in some other more limited sense it does. I don't know. It's not a particularly interesting topic to me. I'll be honest with you about it. So let's go ahead and look at some super chats at this point, which I think there's a ton more of those. We're going to have to try to go through these somewhat quickly, although it looks like that's going to be a chore. Whew, I'm in for the long haul here. Holy shit, are there a lot of super chats? What the fuck? Is this all from today? Oh shit, I don't know if I can even I think you guys might have sent in more super chats than this app will even fucking show me. Oh, I guess you can go to a next page. I have to go to I've never had to do this before. I've never had to go to the next page. Oh my God, it just keeps going. Okay, finally. Holy shit. That was not from today. 12:06. Okay, so some of this is from me streaming like late last night, and I already answered those. So I guess there weren't as many as I thought. Thank God. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be burdened with all that money. Let's see. 12 a.m. 12 a.m. It's not fucking 12 a.m. When you get to the ones from today. Are these from today? I'm really confused by this. When do the PMs start? Oh, okay. I guess these are all from today. Never mind. Holy shit. Okay, so the times on these, I guess, are wonky. I'm just going to fucking go through it. Whatever. We'll just start with the fucking shit. Okay. We're I think we found it. I think we found the beginning, hopefully. Oh, wait a minute. Does that mean these are all from today? I am really confused by what's going on here. I don't know where this starts. I hope I'm starting in the right place. If I missed your super chat, I am fucking sorry. Do you hate any movies that... Okay, I know I read that one last night, so that's not one. Okay, so I recognize some of these from yesterday. I'm sorry, guys. Give me a fucking second here. Okay. See, now I'm not sure if I'm actually seeing the ones from this stream. Let me refresh this. Yeah, I'm looking for those right now. So, okay, I definitely see where those are coming in. 12:51. It's like it's telling me they're from like 12:51 a.m. Like it's not 12. It's like whatever. I'm really sorry about this. Okay, whatever. We're gonna just go. I'm just gonna. If I read some from last night, whatever. What is your opinion about paying for sex? That's from Christopher. I know that's actually from last night. Okay, you know what? Here it is. It thinks it's the next fucking day is what's going on here. I was looking at for ones from the 24th, but it thinks today's the 25th, even though it's not for me. So that's what the confusion is here. All right, so here we go. Why did you stop the music? I was enjoying that. Sorry. The name of the song, once again, is... Fuck, I don't remember now. It's by Walt Adams, I think. I remember that much. So there you go for that. We Are Nomads. That's the name of the song. We Are Nomads by Walt Adams, I believe. So you can go check it out there. What is your favorite Adam Sandler movie? This is from Rick Nick for $5. What is your favorite Adam Sandler movie? And have you watched Ozark yet? My favorite Adam Sandler movie is... I've not watched Uncut Gems yet, so I don't know if that's going to be a game changer. I really don't like many Adam Sandler movies. I know there's been some. I guess I like Punch Drunk Love. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the one that's coming to mind right now. Heffing Berlimber gave £2 and says, absolutely your best title yet. Thank you. I always try to have punny titles, so... I did the Joronavirus. I did Burnout, I think, or something like that, whatever. So I always try to do those. Field Clock 777 gave $4.99. Says, do you think it's still possible to change the political system through reform, or is revolutionary action needed? You know, I'm 100% on both bandwagons on that. I think, work within the system, work from without the system, or from outside the system to be more linguistically accurate, I guess. So, I mean, I believe in using both approaches to the greatest extent that you possibly can. Ruthlessly pursue your agenda with every means that you possibly can. So Nick gave another $2 and asked, have you watched The Midnight Gospel? I watched the first episode last night, and I don't really think I cared for it. I liked it visually, but I didn't really understand why I was listening to this really boring conversation. At least what I consider to be a boring conversation. RJRS gave $9.99, says Trump would be more responsive to pressures for non-interventionism. At least he's given it lip service. Better on criminal justice and North Korea also. I'm voting green, though. Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily better on criminal justice. I know he's done some things. He's been better than most Republicans on criminal justice. I'll give him that. I don't know if he's be better than a Democrat on criminal justice, but possibly. The Blue Noble gave $10. He says, I think the progressives need to spend this time sharpening their claws. Bernie only got a plurality of Dems. I say build the coalition while things get worse. It'll be easier to make our case. Yeah, I would agree with that, I think, in general terms. Subtracted gave $2, says, TJ, how do I compensate for my lack of intelligence? I don't know, learn things? Read books or something? Mr. Naughty Priest gave $50, says, hi, TJ, I drank too much wine to follow what you're talking about, but have a good day. Poor Mr. Naughty Priest, such a drunk, but such a generous one. Severus Snape 222 gave $1.49. That's it. Didn't say nothing. Bernie Sanders gave $1.99, says Biden would say the N-word if he picked Michelle. Maybe he would. Caleb O'Meara gave $1.99 and says, any chance of a deep fat fried tour eventually? Well, it's not going to happen during this era of social distancing, but we'll see. Godless Alphabet Person gave $2.99, says, might as well choose between Bundy and Gacy. I mean, but even if that was the choice, like, maybe you are better making a choice there, right? Like, maybe one is legitimately better or worse than the other. I don't know. Daniel Kale, do you think political realignment is happening? I know you're in a deep red state with a Dem governor, purple. Yeah, he's pretty purple. Do you think rural areas are getting redder and suburban areas are getting bluer? I don't know. I would have to really look at some research or something. I'm not going to go with anecdotal kind of evidence for that. Mr. Naughty Priest gave $50 again, says TJ for VP. Thank you. I don't know if I'd accept it, at least not in this administration. Libby Veneziano gave $4.99, says, love your videos, TJ. Keep being a queen. Oh, yeah, slay queen. Mr. Naughty Priest gave another $50, says, TJ, when is America going to hit rock bottom? I'm not even going to jinx it by answering that, okay? I'm sorry. I know you gave $50. I know you probably want me to do some kind of answer, but I just don't. I mean, like, every time I think, like, this is it, this is the low, I'm wrong, so I don't even want to fucking say it. Subtracted gave $2 again, says, why is the Republican Party so against workers? Because they're for the people who the workers work for. And the interest of the business owners and the interest of the workers are not the same fucking interests. Steve O gave $1.99. Cool. The Killing Joke gave $2 and said, losing. Okay. Indy gave $4.99 and said, if the greatest minds of human history were all conservatives, we'd still be living in the Stone Age. No, I think we would have at least gotten to the industrial age. Come on, let's be fair. Emily Hawes gave $2 and says, love me some angry TJ. I don't really feel like I got too angry during this. Maybe I did. I don't know. TJ Yates, nice first name, or at least a nice first nickname, gave it $4.99, says, my girlfriend's mom took her out of her will because she won't vote for Biden. Obviously, that's pretty stupid. Falupin Deloop gave 10 Australian bucks and says, people are scared of the R word. What, Republicans or retards? Then again, what's the difference? Have a sense of humor. Your mom, $2. Check out Midnight Gospel on Netflix. I did. I didn't like it. Sorry. Ken Mix, $5. I know you don't talk much about religion, but can you talk about mid-tier religions like Zoroastrian, Jains, Sikhs, etc.? Yeah, maybe we'll do it on DFF or something. It's kind of weird that I've gotten to a point where people are like, I know you don't talk about religion much, because that used to be my bread and butter. Leo D, here's $2. You're my idol. Love you. Thanks. Eaton Chow? I don't know. Gave $3.99. Didn't say anything. Connor Oakes, $14.99. TJ, you helped deliver me from Mormonism. I loved your early work. Here is my tithing for you. Please continue the plight. Thank you. I love the backhanded compliment of I loved your early work. I know how every band that I say that about feels. Frederick John, $6.66. Have you talked about nihilism in the? I'm sorry, you have talked about nihilism in the past. How do you feel about those who are politically nihilist and/or black-pilled? I don't know. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't want to embarrass myself by trying to talk about a subject that I'm not familiar with, so I'd have to do some research. I'll add it to my little document here that I already have some links in. Black-pilled political nihilism. Okay, I'll look into it. Bonin Raiden says he gave $2.99 in pounds, I believe. Hey, what do you think about Zionism? I'm against it. I'm not a Zionist. Mujtaba Hussein gave £5. He says, I hope that Biden can be a segue into a more progressive candidate, but I'm skeptical. I think skepticism is healthy. Let's see here. I know we have some more that came in while I was reading those. Let's first see here. Someone said Larry Crawshaw gave $1 and said I've been a huge fan of yours for almost a decade now. Love you, magnificent bastard. Also, what's your video game console of choice? Now, I don't really play video games that much, so I don't really have a console of choice. I'm sorry, but thanks for the $1. Pro Border 420 gave $1.99 and says favorite form of alcohol, probably wine. Because most other forms of alcohol are disgusting. I don't like drinking alcohol. I like the effects of alcohol, at least some of them. But, I'm not really a big fan of the taste. I don't think most people are. James Bond gave $2 and said Dahmer. Okay. TV B9 gave $5 and says, I'm not an atheist, but you're smart and funny and hope all is well with you, TJ. And your video taking butt feeds privilege test still cracks me up. Yeah. Apparently I'm not very privileged. That was what I learned from that test. Violent J100 gave $5. It says, I'm figure drawing you right now. Don't worry, I'll make you look fabulous. Not that you don't already look fabulous. See, that's a nice comment. Send it to me on Twitter when you're done, all right? DMs are open. Sichard Rimmons, I get it, spoonerism, gave $5. It says, you like Afterlife with Ricky Gervais. If you like Kidding, I think you'd be into that as well. Yeah, I did like that show. I was a fan of Afterlife, and I always try to recommend Kidding to whoever I see because it's a tragically underwatched show for how clever and interesting it is. Rick Nick gave $5, says, rumor has it that Disney parks will be closed until 2021. Will this have Netflix become the new Disney? I don't know. Yeah, those parks are a huge part of Disney's profit and bottom line, so it definitely hurts them a bit. But they do have a streaming service now, so I guess that can help. So, because obviously we have I think I read 16 million new Netflix subscribers in this time, so I think it probably makes sense that there's going to be a lot of new Disney Plus users too. Subtracted gave $2. It says, "What do you think Eric and Dylan did? Why do you think Eric and Dylan did what they did?" So about Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the Columbine shooters. I think there's a plethora of factors there. I think that one of the things is that they probably felt a pretty normal sense of alienation and isolation that is experienced by teenagers especially. Obviously they were kind of radicalized with some pretty extreme political philosophies. Of course, they venerated Adolf Hitler and stuff. So, there's radicalization, there's ostracization. There's an idea that, if you do this big, devastating act, you will become famous and you will be taken seriously, even if you're dead. And, of course, that was kind of validated in the case of Eric and Dylan because they did kind of become celebrities from their shooting spree. I think that Marilyn Manson, who, of course, was blamed for the Columbine shooting pretty erroneously, actually wrote an essay for Rolling Stone magazine that I've revisited a few times. You can still find. It's called Columbine, Whose Fault Is It? By Marilyn Manson. Obviously, he was in a position where he had a tremendous impetus to examine that event because, of course, he was, erroneously, in my opinion, blamed for it. So I think that, he actually had some pretty interesting things to say on the topic. And I think I agree with maybe not every single thing that he wrote in that essay, but I do think I agree with the gist of what he says there. Katie Van 499 says, I don't have anything to say. Can't figure out how to make this an even 5. Sorry. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Still very nice of you. Frederick John gave $2. Says, what's your ideal place to live? I don't know. I was thinking New Zealand looked pretty nice, but, I don't know. Path My Way gave $4.99 and says, sup, TJ, it's little Peter. Hope you're well. Got laid off, but it's still worth letting you know I'm well. Well, I'm sorry to hear you got laid off. That sucks. For those of you who don't know, Peter is I always want to call them people of size, but that's not right. He's a little person. He's a midget. You're not supposed to say midget, but little person. But just so we're clear on what we're talking about, midget. So, yeah, he's awesome though. He's come to a few of our meetups. He's always fun. Good sport, Sorry to hear you got laid off. That sucks, Dick. I don't really remember what you did for a living, but that's definitely lame. Sean Lordo gave $4.99. Says, can you do a video on the Star Wars prequels so I can shut up all these Zoomers that say Revenge of the Sith is the best movie? Like, man, is there not enough videos online about the prequels? Just show them the fucking goddamn, Red Letter Media shit with the Mr. Plinkett reviews. I mean, like, those are pretty much flawless. The criticisms are really good. I think they hold up well. So I'd say just show them those. I don't know why I need to do it. Also, I already did it. I did it for the Distress Watcher stuff. I don't think that all of those still exist. I think it's missing a part or two because I did it in like 9 parts. But I think there's like a part or two that's missing. But most of it's still there. And I think you can get it. I forget how you can get it. I think I sell it as part of a package of like all the old Distress Watcher shit. I don't know. You could probably find it if you look for it. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We got another one from Rick Nick here. Gave $2. Says, best Quentin Tarantino film. I like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I don't know if it's necessarily the best film, but it's the one I enjoy the best. So I'm going to go with that. And with that, I'm going to bid you guys adieu. I thank you so much. Oh, I guess I'll read this since it just came up. Yumbum666, do you think progressives like Bernie will have an easier time pushing/passing for progressive legislation under a Biden or Trump administration? I think they're going to have a tough time either way, but I think it's slightly better under a Biden administration. Okay, shit, a bunch are coming in all of a sudden. Can you talk briefly about how you, Scotty, and your families are doing during the current Shiat? It's been tough because I've been isolated. Paul's been isolated. Scotty's been isolated. So, I think all of us are, feeling the pains associated with the stir craziness and stuff that happens there. Rich Evans versus Paul. Who will win? I don't know because I don't know who Rich Evans is. Cunty Cat gave $5. Says, I broke my arm in a couple places. The doctor said to stop going to those places. That's a good idea. Reese Cup says, why am I unable to send a diggity dang super chat? Well, you just did. So if you're wondering why it doesn't appear over there in the form of a butt gif, that would be because it's not a high enough dollar amount. I think it only appears if it's like $5 or more. That's just to prevent it from being constant. Hey, TJ, love your content. Would you and Paul do more movie reviews? Also, Destruction of Steve Shives, your best video ever. Well, thank you. But we actually do a lot of movie reviews, and they are behind our Patreon paywall. So if you want to see those, you can sign up for Patreon. We do movie reviews every month. We're actually planning on doing a very special, like, triple feature this month. So there we go. I don't know what there was that sudden late flood of those, but I think we're done now. What's that? I don't know. What is ARS? Arse? I don't. Oh, I guess it's a currency. I don't know what it is. Oh shit! They just keep coming. Wouldn't Biden be more helpful to progressives so that a future progressive president isn't as hampered by extremely conservative SCOTUS? Yeah, well, that's one of the arguments for maybe voting for Biden, even though he's a piece of shit. Which I think are intellectually compelling but emotionally unsatisfactory. Wouldn't Biden? Okay, I already read that one. Yeah, I think that we're caught up now, right? The word BUTT is too obscene for YouTube. Yeah. Well, no, someone actually put butt in one of their super chats before, so I don't think that's true. Whew. Okay. So I think I finally have permission to leave now. Let's make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah, I think I did them all. Oh, there was a guy called Robert Fancy Pants Motorcycle McGee who gave 20 ARSs. I don't know what the fuck that is. But he just said, hey. So I will say hey back. All right. What do you call a gay dinosaur? Megasaur ass? I get it. But not all gays are bottoms, dude. It's kind of stereotyping gays, because at least half of gays do the fucking, right? You know? You're leaving out tops there. So be more inclusive with your sophomoric humor in the future. All right. So with that said, I'm wrapping it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me rant and rave. Don't take any of it too seriously. I'm just an idiot on YouTube. So keep that in mind at all times. Fare thee well. Goodbye. Have a wonderful evening. And I hope you all stay safe and sane. So I'll do the classic sign off. Amazing atheist. Peace the fuck out.